Hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone, to the Get Tilted DFS podcast, streaming live on YouTube and Twitch. We are brought to you by the Fantasy Now Plus and the Finns Talk Sports Network. And tonight, we are going to talk through the main Sunday slate on DraftKings. So, without further ado, let's get into the show.
You're listening to Get Tilted, only on Fantasy Now Plus.
Alrighty, welcome in, everyone. I am your host this week, Tim Holstad. As you can tell, Brian is out this week, and so I figured let's bring in a different Brian. Let's keep the theme of the show going. Brian, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I am doing well. Ashton Genty already has a rushing touchdown, so Thursday is off to a pretty solid start for me so far.
Yeah.
Alrighty,
Ashton
folks.
Genty's been a sorry.
Oh, you're good. Alrighty. Well, it's week 10. We are here to talk about the DraftKings main Sunday slate, folks. And we're going to try something a little bit different. We're going to go game by game on DraftKings, talk through some of our favorite plays, talk through any values, any traps, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start out with our first game, the New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers. Brian, what are your thoughts on this game?
I think my favorite player, obviously, is probably going to be the same as most, is Rico Dowdle at 6,300. If he performs like he has the last several weeks when he has started, could be a great value. My concern is obviously he is questionable. He did practice limited, so I don't think he's going to miss. So if he plays, we saw he was limited last week when he was in there. If anyone saw, he was definitely hurting, and he was still playing. So, give him his little injection before the game, and I think he's gonna feast. I know he's the most expensive player in the matchup, but I think he's worth it. That's my favorite one in the matchup. How about you?
Definitely. I like Rico. If he misses, Chuba Hubbard, I think, immediately becomes excellent 5,300 chalk. I like Chris Olave. Rashid Shaheed is gone. He is in Seattle. It is basically just him, Alvin Kamara, and Juwan Johnson for targets. They're not the most valuable targets in the world, but we honestly could see Chris Olave just become a slightly less productive version of JSN, where he just has 30 to 35% of the targets and the routes and all that. So I love Olave, even at 6,200, but it's not a great game environment. Divisional matchups always get a little weird. You can think that it's going to go, one way or another, but it ends up being a 6 to 13 game sometimes. So definitely a risk of that with two pretty mediocre offenses, but there are some pieces here that I like for sure.
Yeah, I think before you switch, a little further down off our screen, Juwan Johnson, I think, could be a sneaky good tight end if your budget fits for it at 3,700. He's not bad at that price. I think with this matchup especially, he has had some up and down games, but with the new quarterback, a lot of times, especially with him only having Olave other than him, the tight end is always that comfort zone. So I think he's a sneaky possibility there too.
Definitely. And frankly, Taysom Hill is always a random shot in the dark to take. He's probably going to score 30 points at least once this year. So, at 2,700. There's worse ways to
27.
spend your
Yeah,
money. So,
absolutely.
alrighty. Let's move on to the New York Giants up against the Chicago Bears. The Bears are fresh off beating the absolute tar off the Bengals, but also giving up just about as many points to them, while the Giants basically have no one healthy left on this offense whatsoever. It is kind of insane how bad their injury luck has been. What do you like in this matchup?
Well, kind of with what you said, I like Dart at 5,700. We see that the Bears give up lots and lots of fantasy points to quarterbacks. Now, obviously, it's a little skewed with what Flacco did to him last week, but Dart, as you can see, I mean, he's almost 20 points consistently every week, and he's got a great matchup. So at 5,700, he's cheap enough that I think he's a good start still. For the Bears, I think it's kind of – I hope I don't butcher the name too much, but if, Mononagay – did I say it right? You think? I don't know. If he – I think if he, it gets a true split at 5,600, that could be good value. He was great last week. Everyone tends to think that's going to be, a split going forward. We have no clue. That's the bad part about it. I would definitely trust him, though, at 5,600 more than Swift at 6,100 based off of what we saw last week.
Definitely. Love the Jackson Dart call. He, as you saw, is basically getting 50-plus rush yards more or less every single week outside of a couple weeks against great defenses. The Bears are not a great defense. They're not even a good defense. They are atrocious. I don't know if I want to play Bears stacks in this game. Caleb can definitely be volatile at times. He does run the ball a little bit, so you do have a little bit of a floor. He's only 6K, so it's not the worst price to pay, but Odunze gave you a goose egg last week. I'm sure a lot of folks are going to be hesitant to play that. How much can we trust what DJ Moore gave you? Was it a one-off because it's the Bengals, or is he going to start working his way back into being way more involved? I don't really like a lot of pieces in this game. I think the game's just going to be kind of gross and unpredictable. If you have like a specific player on either team that you really want to play, I think it's valid, but I'm not necessarily looking to like stack up this game. What about you?
Absolutely agreed. One thing that I think was probably the most surprising of the prices was how much Colston Loveland went up after his big game last week. $4,100 for Colston Loveland. I was not expecting to see that because my initial reaction was he might be a good value, but I think that's too high because he's done it once. I don't trust him yet. And so, I mean, I definitely agree. There's not a lot of price points per matchups that excite me in this matchup. Yeah.
I mean, Tracy is going to share time with Singletary, which kind of makes both of them unplayable. Swift and Monangai are split. They could get there, but I don't think you're going to get what you got last week from Monangai or anywhere close to that. Rome, I think Rome is playable, even though it feels gross.
Right. Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's move on to Jacksonville versus Houston. We have to talk about anyone in this game.
I actually like Nico, because whenever Stroud went out, it seemed like every pass was going Nico's way from Mills. So I think clearly that's the guy he trusts, and he's going to force feed targets to. So and Nico's good. So I know the price is 6,700. It's not super low, but Nico's worth 6,700 whenever he's performing, and I think that Nico could be a good play with what we saw from Davis Mills, whenever he came in last week.
That's valid. And I mean, Nico is usually hovering around 75, 78. So you're getting about 1,000 discount from him just because Davis Mills is playing. So I think that's fair. Any interest in Woody Marks if Nick Chubb misses in this game?
I think that's something that would be interesting. I don't know if I trust Woody Marks against that Jacksonville defense because, I mean, they have been pretty good, against the run.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling they're going to have a lead, so I don't know how much Houston's going to be able to run either. So the other play I was kind of intrigued by is Jacoby at 4,800. He's a new team, so I think he's lower because of that. He's not been exactly lighting the world on fire, but we all know what he can do. They gave up a decent amount to get him.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter's hurt. We've seen it I don't know how many times. A guy goes to a new team in that first week when you're thinking he's learning the playbook and he blows up. So I could see him being a very sneaky play at 4,800.
Definitely. I mean, I don't think Brian Thomas plays this game. If I remember correctly, he missed practice.
He did.
So Myers will probably be on the outside, which makes him slightly less fun, but I think he still will probably be their X receiver. They are going to have to throw somewhat. Houston is a stout defense, even if that offense projects to do almost nothing. But I think it's going to be a weird divisional game. Anything can happen. So, 4,800 for Myers, I think that's a very solid price and a good call for sure. Alrighty. Next up, another divisional game. We got a lot of those this week. Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins. There's kind of only one storyline that really matters in this game, and it's whether or not James Cook plays.
Agreed.
If he does play, are you playing him?
I don't know. It's 7,500. Not that that's bad, just because he's hurt. Miami's defense is awful, but been getting better.
Yeah.
We saw they shut down Robinson, which was shocking. Yeah. And then really last week they got smoked by Baltimore, but it wasn't really the running game. It was the pass game and Lamar. I mean, Derrick Henry was okay, had a couple of good runs, but overall they did pretty good against the run 2 weeks in a row. I do think if Cook plays, he'll have numbers, but I don't know if he's worth 7,500.
That's fair. I kind of just always fade James Cook, and it's been burning me this year, but I can't play a guy that's getting 50, maybe 60% of the snaps every week, regardless of price point. Like it's such a thin bet in DFS to do that. And, the higher up in price he goes, the less interested I am. It is a very tempting matchup, though, as you said. It's on paper that should work, but kind of unknown how he's going to do. If he misses, how do you think that backfield plays out? Do you think it's mostly Ray Davis and Ty Johnson kind of keeps his touches, or do you think it's a lot muddier than that?
It's really weird because last year I would have said, it's Ray Davis would be the guy, but the way they've really not used him a whole lot and used Johnson a lot more, I almost think they would lean more on Johnson, but I do think it'd be more split. And really, I think you're going to see a lot more just short pass. Shakur getting involved, definitely Kincaid. I think you're going to see a lot more of that. Josh Allen, and that be their running game, the short pass as much as anything. If he doesn't play,
yeah.
I do think a sneaky Miami play is being a Dolphins fan. So this is very two big pieces happen. If Ollie Gordon plays and Wright is not inactive, expect them to try to go and run the ball especially with Buffalo's injuries. And that has been one of the few things they've had success against Buffalo time in and time again in the McDaniel era. And I would not be at all surprised if Gordon has a decent game if he plays. But if they only have him in a chain like they did last week, that's too telling. I don't know why they do it, but that means they're definitely just going to pass. But if the game plan's calling for the run, I think Ollie Gordon could be a nice play at 4,400. Not that a chain's not a great play any week, but 7,400. You need him to put up the 20 points to justify it, and he's not always doing it with the run. It's a lot more with a little bit of everything. So, whereas I think Ollie at 44, if that happens, again, you got to put him in late, and you got to make sure you watch them inactives. But if that happens, I think he could be a good play.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, DraftKings full point PPR, Achan's kind of just you play him every week whenever he's affordable. I think 74 is a pretty fair price for him as the, third most expensive running back on the slate. So definitely love the Achan play there. Any interest in a couple Miami pass catchers in Jalen Waddle or Greg Dulcich?
Waddle, I think, has shown. I mean, if you click on him and just look what he's done without Hill, really, that's the most telling thing. He's been, other than week 7 where he's been very consistent. Without Hill being there, so I think Waddle's almost extremely safe. But you got to worry that nagging random Waddle injuries. He hasn't had one in a few weeks, and he seems to always get them. So I do think Waddle will be very much involved in the game plan as well. I'm not a fan of Dulcich. Okay. I think if Hill plays, he's going to be the tight end that they focus on.
Okay.
But I mean, they're all hot garbage. Let's just be real.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I expected Darren Waller to be hot garbage, and then he just wasn't. So
I know. And then he got hurt again. Yeah. I really thought he was going to pull the sign the contract and never show up gimmick that we've seen a few times happen there in Miami. So
I thought he was just going to be so bad that he just wouldn't make it out of camp, and then he clearly was the one. Immediately got injured, but was clearly the best tight end in the room for them. So it's definitely a bummer. All right. Let's move right along, folks, to one of the more fun games of the week. We have the Baltimore Ravens at Minnesota to face the Vikings. There's a lot of juicy plays in this game, in my opinion. What are you seeing? What looks good to you at first glance?
At first glance, I mean, I like Lamar at 68. I think we saw last week Lamar healthy is back, and for whatever reason, Minnesota's defense hasn't been what they've been the last couple of years so far. And it is in Minnesota, so he's got the weather won't be a factor. Lamar will be able to just run all day if he wants. I do like him there. Justin Jefferson, he's not putting up Justin Jefferson numbers yet. JJ has been inconsistent. I think he's too high at 7,900. I love Justin Jefferson, but just until he's putting up those week 4 and 5 numbers consistently, he's only had 2 20-point games and we're in week 10. So of course, me saying that, this will be the week he finally blows up. But and Zay Flowers, I think, is always good, especially for whatever reason DraftKings likes to keep him very affordable most weeks. Yeah. Addison, he's another one, but at that price point, I think he could pop. He's had more good games than bad games since he's been playing. I mean, obviously the last 2's been worse. So but I mean, if you look at it, I mean, I think for what was it, 5,400, I believe.
Yep.
That's not bad.
Not at all.
I mean, there's so many I can keep going through. I'm like, Derrick Henry, I don't think's horrible at 6,800, but Derrick Henry's not been Derrick Henry. I wouldn't pay it.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree. Yeah, it's kind of hard to gauge right now because the first 6-7 weeks of the season, you see Baltimore and you're just like, oh, that defense is awful.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been pretty solid since coming off the bye. They got a solid amount of their starters back. They have been a more average defense. So the matchup, if you look over here, it's screaming green for all of your Minnesota players, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think I agree. Lamar's might be my favorite quarterback on the slate, just price adjusted. He's been getting it done with the pass more than rushing this year. He's throwing for a ton of touchdowns, throwing for a ton of yards. He's kind of just scoring points like a pocket passer so far. He hasn't really rushed for all that much. So you're kind of getting almost an invisible ceiling that we know he has, and he just isn't doing it. So that's always nice to get a little discounted at 6,800. I definitely agree on Derrick Henry. He's playable. I don't think you should go into a week in DFS and just never have any Derrick Henry lineups, but I also don't think you need to go over your skis on him by any means. It's probably like 1 or 2 at max, and just hope that's the one. But are you interested in Aaron Jones at all, or are you just kind of staying away from that Vikings backfield?
I was going to ask you the same question. I think I trust Aaron Jones the most in that backfield.
Yeah.
He's already on the injury report again. Did he practice? Limited. I thought he did. So, but he is older, and so those injuries are going to pop up more frequently. But if he plays, he's clearly their RB1. And the fact that he's 1,000 less than Mason, I mean, that to me, if I'm playing one of them, I'm playing Aaron Jones if he plays.
Definitely. Yeah, I was kind of shocked that McCarthy came back, and I was expecting them to just be like ridiculously run heavy and kind of hide him, but they just let him play. He did pretty well. Obviously, he didn't get there on yards, but he scored some touchdowns. He ran the ball a bit. He's pretty interesting at 4,900 to me, especially with that rushing upside. He's probably the cheapest quarterback that I truly feel okay playing on the slate. So he's definitely interesting, and he's fun to stack. So that's at least nice. It's not too gross.
Yeah, I agree with you on McCarthy, and kind of what you said, the numbers, the 25th, we all know Baltimore's playing better.
Yeah.
McCarthy's had quite a few weeks off, and he looked really good last week. So maybe finally we can see, him put 2 games in a row together. I mean, him playing 2 games in a row in itself's a feat. So, but realistically, I think that 4,900, if you're looking for a quarterback on a discount, that's a pretty good buy. Yeah. And I think the one here, another discount surprised me a little bit, is Andrews is only 3,400 after his big week. Now I know he's been awful, but his first game, with Lamar back, and he just smashed last week.
Yeah.
Again, it was 2 catches. What was it? Yeah, 2 catches. The targets messed me up for a minute. I was like, I thought he only had 2, but they were both touchdowns, and that's he did the 2. They made him their Jalen Hurts. It was kind of funny, but which with that being said, if they get down at the goal line, they do that. There's another touchdown possibility. So a good 3,400. I think he's a good cheap tight end option if you're leaning that way.
Yeah, he's certainly not to the Travis Kelce level of just being visibly slower and not who he was. Andrews has still got most of his juice. He could easily just have an 8-target game just out of nowhere, depending on the game plan. So I like that call for sure. Definitely a no on TJ Hawkinson. Just it's over. Let him go. He's not who we thought he was anymore. Unfortunately, he's just a guy.
Yep.
Alrighty, folks. We are going to take a very short break so that you can hear from our favorite partners at Underdog, and we will be back in 30 seconds. Alrighty. Next game up, we have what sounds disgusting in theory. It could play out disgustingly, but we shall see. The Cleveland Browns at the now fully and unequivocally tanking New York Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically did a Madden rebuild in New York at the trade deadline, just trading their stars for first-round picks and hoping you get lucky. I don't blame them. They have really nothing to build around. I mean, Justin Fields is not the answer at quarterback. Their defense has been actively bad, despite it's supposed to be like the strength of their team. I think it was a good move on their part for sure, but that leaves them with a very bare bones defense and still a bad offense. So what do you like in this game?
Yeah, I mean it's there's not a lot to like, right? But I think this is one where I'm going to probably do my if I'm really needing to go to the bottom of the barrel, what about AD Mitchell for 3,000? He's a wide receiver too now, probably from day one. He's shown he has talent, and had he not made his bonehead drop, he would have not fallen down the depth chart in Indy so quickly to the point where he got out of town. I mean, I think that's a nice sneaky play at 3,000. Like I said, 'cause I don't think they have. And one thing Justin Fields can do is throw a good deep ball.
Yeah.
So I think he's a sneaky play. That's about the only Jet that I think is worth considering. Obviously, I love Breece Hall, but you're just going to stack that box. I mean, and the Browns have a actually good defense, so I just think Breece Hall is going to have a rough day, and we know he's not happy. Sometimes that shows out on the field, especially with how recent the trade deadline was. So I would fade Hall on the Jets this week.
Yeah.
And I say on the Browns, Judkins at 6,500.
Yeah.
Seems like a smash. Like, you're talking about how bad the Jets defense is. As an IDP guy, when Williams, not the Quincy Williams has been playing at linebacker, he's been good. They traded his brother, and then they benched him because he's underperforming. No, they benched him because he's mad, and they for whatever reason they didn't trade him. But like, you just benched probably your best run linebacker. Like, so I think Judkins is gonna have a good day, and then really I don't think there's a whole lot to potentially love, because I do think the Browns could just have a field day against the Jets. I could see it. I mean, the Jets were already bad, and then they just gave away their best defender, and then their probably second best defender. And so I almost like Sampson at 4,700 if you trust him. I don't, but I just think they could run all over him. I mean, maybe even Gabriel at 4,400 if you want to go real cheap on the quarterback. He could. If you don't know how they're going to attack the Jets, but I just think they're going to. I think they're going to get a lead, and that's where I think the run game is going to be where they really focus.
Yep. I mean, we still don't even know the quarterback for the Jets. They're just playing coy all week. Like, it could legitimately be Tyrod Taylor, or it just ends up being Justin Fields at the end. And I don't want to play either of them, regardless of who starts.
Yep.
Garrett Wilson at 6,100 is tempting. He's claiming that he's fully healthy, so I don't I don't know how much AD Mitchell would play. Like, you would think that he would play because they really don't have anyone else besides Wilson, but
Yeah.
with Mitchell being kind of a hothead and a younger player, I don't know how much of the playbook he would get. But
I mean, I think if he's active, that'll be our tell. If he's active, I think he's going to play a lot. If he's not active, then obviously he doesn't know enough to put him on the field. But yeah. But I agree with you. I think that one's sorry, a fly on my face. But yeah, I think Garrett Wilson at 6,100. I mean, it's Garrett Wilson. Could be a great play. It's just I don't trust the Jets, especially after what they just did. I mean, and how are the players going to react? They're all in on this coach that the team clearly isn't in on, but the ownership is. So it's just a disaster.
It's definitely a kind of an underrated angle of this is that they could just come out and be totally flat and just do nothing. So Wilson's interesting purely on targets, but he definitely has risk of just bad offense. Fully agree on the Judkins point. I think as long as he's playing, he should be chalk. This defense has nobody left, and they're benching their now best defensive player. So we're down to second, third string type players in their secondary and linebacking core. Harold Fannin randomly popped up on the injury report today with a hamstring injury and did not practice at all after having a full practice on Wednesday. If he misses, any interest in Njoku in this game?
Yeah, because I think it's 3,200. So, I mean, if there's no Fannin, I think that's a really good play. Yeah. Typically you get hurt hamstring during the week, they don't play on Sunday. Let's just call it. I mean, the odds are if it's a hamstring, he's probably not playing.
Yeah.
So Njoku at 3,200 should be a solid play.
Yeah, it's the cheapest you'll probably ever get Njoku. He could just be the primary target. Another guy that is interesting to some extent, Jerry Jeudy, is only 3,900 at this point. He's just been awful all year. Like there's no getting around it. This offense has been awful, but he does get targets still, even if they don't really mean anything.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at him too for that same thing. Is like the Jets just traded their number one corner. He's still, he's still Jerry Jeudy. He has talent. I mean, one of the most frustrating things before, last year was he didn't show up often, and apparently last year was an aberration because here we are again.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, he's always capable of that big game. So, and if there's a team to do it against, it's the Jets. So at 3,900, he could be a nice sneaky play, but he's just been so bad that it's hard to recommend touching him.
Yep. But at the same time, I mean, we're halfway through already, folks. There's not a lot of value plays that are fun in this slate. There's usually one or two that's like, oh, he got mispriced, someone got injured. I mean, Njoku is probably the best one we've covered so far at 3,200, and that's not even really like that much savings at tight end. So Jeudy could really be in play. I don't think Cedric Tillman is that interesting off of IR. He doesn't run the types of routes that Dylan Gabriel really ever tries to target. So you could play him, but it's a very thin bet, even if it is a bad defense for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
All righty. Before we continue, we have other Brian checking in on YouTube, asking us an interesting question. If you had to pick one quarterback between Caleb Williams and Jackson Dart this week, who are you going with?
You want to go first?
I'll go first. I think it's just Jackson Dart at this point. He is a Konami code quarterback, plain and simple. He runs the ball a lot. He has a very safe baseline at quarterback. And even though he doesn't really have weapons at this point, it so far just isn't seeming to matter. He's still getting there for fantasy, and it's silly this because of the offense that Caleb is in and the weapons that he has, but Caleb honestly has more of a bust rate than Jackson Dart does for me.
I'm in complete agreement. I think if the price points were flipped, then maybe the answer flips. But Dart being 300 cheaper, I tend to think he's going to put up the better fantasy day anyway. But if I get him at the discount comparison, I mean it's easy for me. Jackson Dart's been almost fantasy proof, like just because of the fact that he was going to run the ball. Even if he doesn't have the weapons, he uses his own weapon. And Caleb has the weapons, and like you said, he's busted way more this year than Dart. So yeah, give me Dart.
All righty. Let us move right along here to the New England Patriots at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Man, I wish Bucky would play. It's kind of ridiculous at this point. Like, they never put him on IR. They obviously expected him to be back way sooner. Something must have gone wrong in rehab or in healing so that it's been prolonged. Very much the same as like Brock Purdy in San Francisco. If he doesn't play, do you like Rachaad White at his price point, or is he still too expensive for your taste?
I mean, I don't hate it because he's been almost, as be careful what I say here, but he's been almost as good as Bucky in certain times whenever it's been no Bucky on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not Bucky Irving, so that's why. But at 6,400, I don't hate it. But if you look the last 2 weeks, he's been 6,400 and he did not produce. So they didn't even give him a discount. So that is, to me, kind of interesting. You would think he would have earned that, but
yeah,
he might be a little more than I want to spend, but I don't hate it at 64. My favorite play is Igbuka at 7,000. Honestly, I mean, I know that's still 7, but I think he's almost fantasy proof too. He's so good, and really Baker. Who else does he have? I mean, especially no Bucky, Godwin. They just said now he might not be back till December.
Yeah,
and yeah, I like Igbuka a lot, but
yeah, I mean,
what are your thoughts on Baker at 62?
Baker's been like, you see the last couple of games, he's been bad. Like not just average, but like actually bad. Like if he was in your DFS lineup, you lost just flat out, and that is somewhat correlating to Mike Evans being gone. Igbuka does get there. He is great, but when it's just him, it has seemed where it's been less likely to succeed compared to when it was Igbuka as, even if he was your 1A, you would have Evans as your 1B, or the couple weeks that Godwin was the 1B even. Like their offense just looked way better at that point.
Yeah.
I think he's always playable because he does scramble. He does put the team on his back just almost at random. He just decides this is the week that he's going to be Superman and he scores like it. So I don't think he's a full fade. I think 6,200's relatively fair pricing, but I think he's another quarterback where I'm going to have him on maybe one or two teams, but he's probably not going to be like a huge part of my portfolio for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree with you. I'd say with this matchup for 200 more, you get Drake May.
Yeah,
like make it make sense.
Yeah, Patriots offense has just been flat out good this year. Their defense has been pretty solid as well, which is kind of another reason I'm a little skittish on the Bucs. Is I think the Patriots are just like a very good team now. Just having a competent coaching staff and Drake May turning into what he is has really propelled this franchise already. Couldn't have happened to a nicer team. They've really been hurting without those Super Bowls in the last 2 or 3 years. So good on them for getting back in the fray. But yeah, Drake May definitely playable. You can play him naked. You can stack him. Stacking him is not very fun because it's kind of random every week. Kayshon Bouttie's probably going to miss, so that does at least eliminate one part of the equation. But I think they're probably going to score a lot of points, and I want May in a lot of teams for sure.
Yeah.
If Ramondre misses again, are we going back to Trevion Henderson?
I don't think I am. I think last week was when we really had his chance to show that he could be the big play guy, and he didn't even get the touchdown. They still were splitting, and I don't know. I'm an Ohio State guy, so seeing Trey struggle is rough, but he's not there yet.
Do you think that it's just they're not using him correctly, or do you think that he's just like not seeing the game at the speed that he should be?
I think it's probably a little more of the second one than the first one. I mean, I definitely think he could be more involved in the passing game, but like he's not getting the runs. Like his biggest plays have always been the runs, and he's not he hasn't got a big breakout run yet. He had to kick return, he's had some good. So I think it's more he's just not up to speed, as far as with the maybe the offensive system's not. I don't know. Like I said, he's in college. If you ask me who's going to be better going, pro, Trevion or Judkins, I would have told you it's going to be Trey all day long. But so far, it's been complete opposite of that. So
yeah, I think we were all in that boat. So at some point, it's going to have to come to a head, and we'll figure it out whether he's just not as good as we thought, or if it's the offense or what. But I think I'll probably still play him this week if Ramondre misses the game. We would feel totally different if he had gotten the rushing touchdown last week.
That's true.
And I believe, let me click on him just to make sure. Yeah, I mean, Jennings had 12 touches. Most of them were around the goal line. He got the rushing touchdown. He didn't play that many snaps, though. Basically, every time he was on the field, he was touching the ball, but for the most part, it was still largely Henderson's backfield. It's just he got unlucky on the touchdown. So,
what do you think about Pop Douglas for the stack if you go May this week? I mean, especially we're thinking, Buttie's not going to play. He's only 4,000. I think, he had a big week last week. So, and he's had, let's say week 6, he's had a couple. Yeah. Most of the time you're getting the other production, but I just feel like, coming off of the game he had and the fact that he's probably going to be their wide receiver too, at 4,000, I think he could be a nice stack with May.
Yeah, I agree. I'm pretty sure that like most of his production has come just deep bomb plays that have gone to him instead of Boutte. So with Boutte gone, like he probably, like you said, it's kind of in line for more of that work and isn't going to just be the slot wide receiver. So, I definitely think he's one of the better value plays on the slate with Boutte missing. I don't think he's bulletproof, but I do think that when you get down that far, no one is really. So you're just kind of you're taking your shots on what offenses you believe in, the talents of the players that you believe in, and I think he's as good a shot as anyone down there for sure. Alrighty, let's move right along. My Arizona Cardinals going up against the Seattle Seahawks. The huge story of this game is obviously Rashid Shaheed. I'm just kidding. It's Jacoby Brissett. he is the starter. Kyler Murray is on quote unquote IR. He was benched.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. He was benched.
They knew Call of Duty was coming out soon, so they had to go ahead and get ahead of it.
Yeah. I mean, this offense looks entirely different with Brissett at the helm. And Brissett's not that good of a quarterback. He's really not. Like, he's the 30th best quarterback in football, maybe, like 28th best quarterback in football. He's a borderline starter, but Trey McBride has 4 touchdown receptions in 3 games with Jacoby Brissett. He had 4 from week 18 of 2023 through this season in all of his starts with Kyler. Like, he looks so much better. He's playing much better for fantasy. And Marvin Harrison Jr. looks kind of like the prince that was promised. He looks like he was supposed to be the first wide receiver that came off the board in last year's draft. So what are your thoughts on this game?
I think you kind of hit the nail in the coffin. Is the Cardinals pass catchers that, McBride's, even without the touchdowns, been almost, bulletproof. But now that he's getting them, 6,000 is obviously high for a tight end, but he's worth it.
Yep.
I think depending on where you spend your money, if you want to put some on McBride, you're probably not going to be regretting it. And Harrison, I mean, if there's ever a time for him to finally take the step, it's now, right? I mean, his dad came out and made his comments about how bad playing that offense was, and then he goes out and performs like that. Like, talk about put up or shut up moments. I think we might be seeing, like you said, the Prince finally taking the crown. So at 5,300, I think he's a very solid. I don't think I want to put him in a bunch of lineups. Just because I don't trust him yet, but I definitely think you should have him in a few. Yeah. And then, what about Benson? Have you heard? Do you think he plays?
He's not going to play this week. I think they're still just kind of taking it slow with him off of IR. I think they've been relatively happy with how their running back room is playing, despite it being down to their 3rd and 4th string players. So I don't think they're going to rush him back by any means. They haven't even opened his practice window yet. So it could honestly be another week or 2 before we see him, to be honest, unfortunately. But I always like Jackson Smith and Jigba, even at this cost. Yeah. And with Shaheed there, he's probably going down from a 40% target share to a 30% target share, which would still be the best in football. So, oh well, he's basically just Puka. He's now more expensive than Puka, but from a projection standpoint and from a volume standpoint, they are more or less the same player. And I just think you play them every single week and you feel comfortable with it and you have them as centerpieces in your lineup, however you want to build it. So I'm definitely into JSN there. Any love for Sam Darnold at his price?
I mean, 5,800 is not bad. I think we've already kind of mentioned the other quarterback plays. I think that for me on quarterback, at 5,700, I can get Dart. I think Dart actually is going to have probably better numbers this week. Yeah. Going against Chicago for $100 less. And if I'm willing to spend a little more, Drake May at 6,400, I think is really good. So I don't hate it. Depending on where your budget is, if you can. But for me, I think I would go somewhere else. But again, I don't hate it at 5,800.
Someone I do want to point out, Emari DeMarcado kind of took over the backfield from Bam Knight last week. He didn't really do that much for fantasy. I mean, 14 rushes for 80 yards is great. He didn't really get many targets, which you would expect from the passing down back, but just not really in the cards for him. So at 4,500, like he has a decent shot at being able to give you, running back 2 type numbers. I don't think Bam Knight is going to win back the job or anything like that. I think it probably goes to DeMarcado. He probably sees an uptick in volume. So that would be my like sneaky play from this game, but he's certainly not the smash of last week of like a Monungai was at a similar price last week, but he's sneaky.
Yeah, one thing that scares me is, again, kind of you don't know which one of the three, because, I mean, even Michael Carter could be this. Like last week, he was obviously a dud, but it could be back to Michael Carter this week. I think they kind of like to just go with the hot hand and, who's going to get that hot hand. But obviously, I think whoever gets the first opportunity, which, and I agree with you, is going to be DeMarcado this week. If he actually, starts out the game well, I think he's a very good play at 4,500. Yep. What do you think? What do you think about Mr. Shaheed at 5,200?
He's interesting. He was like he carried my home league redraft team last year when he was in Kubiak's offense on the Saints. Like he was productive basically every week with Derek Carr, and he's obviously not going to ever be the alpha on this team, but I think he could be kind of a discount DK Metcalf almost, of just like he's going to have these 20 to 25 point weeks where he just catches some bomb touchdowns and you're really excited about it. And he probably has like a 6 to 10 point floor any given week. So it saddens me because Torrey Horton literally just broke out and it was looking great. And then he still has potential with Kupp probably missing. I mean, he'll still be out there in 11 personnel. He can win on just a couple catches, but I definitely think Shaheed's the better play now.
Yeah. Harrison or Shaheed, which one would you go with?
It's tough because from what I've gathered, Harrison's probably going to be pretty chalky this week, and I don't know if I want to play Marvin Harrison at 40% ownership in tournaments, but I would probably still lean that way. I know he's going to get 5 to 8 targets from Brissett. We haven't really seen him be bad under Brissett necessarily. He's been fine his first 2 games and then was great with against Dallas, but he has a safer floor to me than Shaheed, and I feel kind of like they have similar upsides. So I would go Harrison personally.
Okay. That's kind of where I'm leaning too. Just wanted to have you confirm it for me.
Definitely. All right, folks. 2 games left to talk about, and then we will build a lineup. But first, another divisional game. There's so many this week.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. The 2 most expensive players on the slate are in this game, with Christian McCaffrey and Puka Nacua. Devontae Adams is very expensive now at 7,700. We still are playing quarterback chicken with the 49ers. What do you like in this game?
I like CMC. He's almost untouchable as far as production.
Yep.
I don't like his price point because, like you said, he's the most expensive. But with what we've seen at the running back prices this week, I almost think you get him and you go with go a little cheaper.
Yeah.
I do like him still, even at that higher price point. Kind of like you said, Nacua is almost matchup proof as well. I like him almost every week, but a lot of people like him, so makes me consider not going there.
Yeah.
But Devontae was always a good sneak play, but he's gotten too expensive to make him sneaky anymore. Almost, but I mean, there's so much here as far as just on the Rams offense alone anymore, right? Because I think Kyron Williams is almost too high at 6,600.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do think there's a potential sneaky play Higbee at 2,900 if you're trying to get in there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been decent. For 2,900, I don't think that's bad.
Yeah. Has some double-digit point games for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. Like I said, he's not been blowing your doors off, but considering for 2,900, I think that's pretty good value.
Yeah, you would love 14 points for 2,900.
Yeah. So, what do you think about Kittle at 4,500?
He's got to turn it around at some point, right? Like, he is like one of the 3 best tight end, like real life tight ends in football when he's healthy. That is the big caveat. Is he truly fully healthy coming back off that injury, or is he just healthy enough and they need bodies? He's looked okay. If Purdy plays, I'm a lot more interested in Kittle. Mac Jones seems to just spread the ball around a bit too much for my liking. So it's going to be pretty dependent on the quarterback, I'd say. But even still, 4,500, even with Mac Jones, like he has the potential to just put up 35 just any week. And it's hard to find that at 4,500 at any position, regardless. What the fact that it's tight end kind of even makes it better, but it feels not quite as good as Brock Bowers at 5K last week, but I mean, every week that Kittle gets cheaper is just more and more tempting to play him for me.
Absolutely.
Juwan Jennings, you think he's got the juice to do it again?
I mean, there's no one else playing other than him and Bourne, and for whatever reason, Bourne has kind of faded back to the abyss. So, I'm kind of with you too. I mean, especially if at 4,600, it's not bad. But if Purdy plays, I think I like him even more because Purdy and Jennings had chemistry. Like, so, I'm sure Jennings wanting that new contract. Can't wait for Purdy to get back because it's not happening with Jones back there.
Oh, yeah.
But so I don't hate it at 4,600. Yeah, Bourne I'd stay away from. He's just it seems like he had them 2 games and then
but one of them was against the Rams.
It's true. Yeah, it is.
They usually don't repeat, but it is just something to think about that he has done it before against them. So,
very good point.
Yeah, this is one of those games where it's either going to be like 13-16 or it's going to be like 35-42. And I don't know if it's going to be anywhere in between that. So I think it's worth having pieces of this game and seeing how it goes. But you could, outside of the top 2 guys, I think the guys underneath could definitely disappoint you, but they also could pay off in a huge way. So it definitely feels like it's a coin flip at this point for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Alrighty. Last game. This would have been a lot more fun if last week did not happen, but it is the Detroit Lions at the Washington Commanders. The Commanders no longer have Jaden Daniels, at least for the short term. They haven't put him on IR yet, which is interesting. So he's not going to play, but it is something to monitor for the next couple of weeks on whether they put him on IR to enter this week or if they're thinking he could be back before 4 weeks, which would be nuts, but you never know.
Seeing that injury, I don't know how he'd be back that fast. I mean, that might have been the nastiest elbow injury I've seen. I mean, I've seen a lot of nasty ones, but not very many to your elbow like that. So, I mean, obviously, anyone that's a fantasy football or just a football fan doesn't want him to be gone long. So, hopefully they know more than what our eyes showed us, and he's back sooner than later.
On the Washington side, is there anyone you want to play at this point?
I think Debo you consider because he's all they got.
Yeah.
But that's why I say you consider. I mean, just look at those numbers.
Yeah.
Mariota is not very good. I mean,
No.
and even the really weird part to me is they're not running the ball with Debo much either. In their running game, we all thought Krosky Merritt was going to be the guy, and
Yeah.
he still could be, but he's not. And I think it's just all these injuries are adding up, and I don't know. I'm with you. I don't. Detroit's defense isn't bad most of the time, so
Yeah.
I think I'd probably fade almost everyone on Washington this week.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, sadly. Like, they could just be down like 30-7 at halftime, and then it's, do you want Marcus Mariota airing the ball out? I sure don't. That sounds like a pitiful game to watch. So, on Detroit side, I'm very interested in Jahmyr Gibbs this week. He did not perform to expectation last week, and he's expensive. And usually that's a combo that I like to target because it means less people are going to play him. I think, Washington's defense has kind of quietly been like one of the worst in football. They have been able to hide it a bit more because they've either been blown out or they've been blowing teams out when they had Jaden Daniels, but they do not stop the run basically at all. Their cornerbacks are not good. They are just kind of a sieve. So I think Detroit can easily put up 40-plus points in this game, even if they take their foot off the gas, even though Dan Campbell still doesn't really do that, but he might.
I don't know, coming off a loss, so maybe not.
Yeah. They could see this as a get-right game, in which case Gibbs is in line for a good performance. They may try and feed is a strong word, but they may try and feature Jameson Williams a bit more again this week to see if he can continue to stay hot off of a nice play that saved his week last week. Amon-Ra is just Amon-Ra. He is always going to get his. I even like David Montgomery in this game. I think that rush defense is so bad that you really want to kind of just play as many Lions as you can. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, and if you're looking for a stack, Goff and any of his offensive players, should be a good stack. I see this as a game where, Goff has that 4 or 5 touchdown game that he has every year. Yeah. He has, 1 or 2 in him. He already had 1-5. So, yeah, he did. Okay, I thought he did. Yep, week 2.
Yep.
But, I mean, he hasn't had a big touchdown game in a minute. So I could see this being the Goff touchdown party. So I think I would love a Goff stack with really – I don't know about Jameson Williams as far as the stack, but even Laporta, I like. Laporta kind of – the last couple weeks he's been better and really looked great last week.
Yeah.
So many tight ends are good values potentially this week, which means their tight ends aren't going to perform probably. So can't start. I don't like starting a lot of tight ends, but there's some really good values on tight ends. But I do think Montgomery. It seems like in them games where they're blowouts, Montgomery is a part of it. And he's been down the last few weeks, but he's due.
Yep.
So I do like him too. And I mean, you can't go wrong with, like you said, Gibbs or the Sun God. I probably, of the two, would fade Sun God just because I think they're going to be spreading it around a little bit more.
Yep. It is interesting that Goff is the cheapest he's been all season. I don't really know why. Like, I don't know what prompted that drop, but 5,900, he's never been below 6K so far besides this week.
Yeah. Yeah, Goff's very tempting.
Alrighty. Well, that was all 10 games, folks. So we are going to build a lineup here right on stream, see what we can cook up, see what we like, see if there's some players that we absolutely need to play or how we want to build this. So I will give you first pick. Where do you want to go? The world is your oyster.
Let's let's go ahead and get the CMC in there.
Alrighty. I will never say no to Christian McCaffrey. The more we've talked about it, the more I'm kind of really in on this. I want to go Jared Goff. I think he's cheaper than he's been all year. Their offense is cooking. They're in a great spot. And there's not really a quarterback play where I'm just absolutely feel like the value is too good to pass up on. So I think I want to go with Goff here and see how he does against Washington.
Okay, I like it. I think I want to go. Yeah, let's go Nico.
Okay. You were talking him up earlier. He's going to be peppered with targets, and he is cheaper than he has been in a long time. So I do not hate that at all. We need some savings for sure. I don't know how much I love some of the real cheap wide receivers down here. We talked about Judy. He's interesting for sure. It really is just so gross in the cheap part of this slate.
Do you like Douglas top at 4?
Yeah.
Might be the best cheaper one.
Yeah.
That's got somewhat trustworthiness.
Yeah. Like I think Judy probably gets more targets, but I don't think that they're valuable targets or meaningful targets. So honestly, who really cares if he gets 8 targets for 36 yards? I'd rather take the shot on Pop for sure.
Let's go to tight ends. Let's decide our tight end together because there's so many good tight end plays. I think we got to decide. Do we want to go middle of the road? I think you convinced me that I want Kittle this week. Do you agree?
I do. I am interested in Laporta simply because of the Goff stack.
Yeah. Let's.
I mean, hear me out. Both of them. We need some cheap flexes, and there's not much out there. Like we were just talking about, it's rough at running back and wide receiver in the cheap areas. So
let's do it.
Alrighty.
I actually like that a lot, and that's gonna free us up for some money to spend.
Yep. Let's grab a defense. So hear me out. Okay. The Cardinals defense is good, and they're facing Sam Darnold. And I know that hasn't necessarily meant anything so far this year, but it is Sam Darnold. Thoughts?
I mean, I think it's not going to help us, but, I don't think it's going to hurt us per se. We might get a goose egg. I don't think – the good thing about it is you never know with the defense, right? But it is Sam Darnold. That's a good point. So –
other one I would float is the Jaguars against Davis Mills.
I like that one a little bit better, but I think I like the savings of the Cardinals. Let's just go. I like the $2,200 defense. That's so cheap that it's going to give us, $6,600 for our last 2.
Yeah,
average. So
that's kind of like. If the Cardinals were 26 or even 25, I'd be a lot less into them. But
the 2200s.
Yeah, like the third cheapest defense on the slate. They're not a bad defense. They're very much viable. So,
and Darnold could throw a pick 6 and make them worthwhile, even if they, give up a lot of points. So now we got to decide. We got a running back and a wide receiver left. I think we go more expensive, get an expensive wide receiver and get one of the running backs that are a little cheaper, or do you think the other way around?
Let's look at these running backs here. One guy who can play Chicken with the Cardinals. Is Kamara going to play?
Limited, probably. But he's been so bad. But
He has. It is against the Panthers.
I was going to say, but it's the Panthers.
Yeah.
The one I'd be more curious about is Stevenson going to play.
Yeah, I don't think he practiced again. Yeah, he.
No. I
mean, Aaron Jones isn't a bad idea.
Or Montgomery. We just talked about him.
That's true. We could do a little.
That's three Lions we're really banking, but
yeah, I mean that is kind of like a nice way to play them without really playing into the Amon-Ra Gibbs obvious plays. So yeah, I think Montgomery's the play there, and then at wide receiver, basically everyone except these three, which kind of sucks because those are the three I would want to play.
Same.
Let's see. Can we maneuver this?
That's what I was just thinking.
Is there anyone you like slightly cheaper than Nico Collins? About the same, or is he just kind of
let's switch him with Waddle.
Okay.
You like that? And then that gives us the money to Smith the Jigba. Yeah. I think I like that a lot. I would much rather have
Alrighty. So for the folks that might be listening, not watching, we have Jared Goff for $5,900 at quarterback, Christian McCaffrey, the most expensive player on the slate, at $9,000, alongside David Montgomery for $5,000 at running back. Our wide receivers are Jalen Waddle for $6,400 against Buffalo, Pop Demario Douglas for an even $4K, and Jackson Smith and Jigba at $8,600. We're going double tight end, George Kittle at the tight end position, Sam Laporta in the flex, and the Arizona Cardinals defense for some savings to help us get up to JSN. I love that lineup a lot.
I do too. I really do. I think that's going to hit. I mean, obviously, the Lions, I think, is the biggest danger in it. We're going with three of them.
Yep.
If it's a Gibbs and Sun God day, but even if it is, as long as it's Goff, I think we can. Yeah. Because Montgomery and I think Laporta, they both have good floors most weeks. So
yep.
I like it a lot.
Awesome.
Oh.
Well, folks, that is going to do it for us today on Get Tilted. We greatly appreciate everyone who tuned in. Brian, thanks so much for hopping on and filling in. It was definitely a pleasure talking.
Thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun, and definitely looking forward to hopping anytime you need me.
Absolutely. Alrighty, folks, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks again to Fantasy Now Plus and the Fin Talk Sports Network. We will catch you guys on the flip side.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league. Thanks for listening.